businesses expand and create jobs. And you were asking policies such as what? Now, they listed a number of policies. They said our strategy is to address these challenges in ways that enable industry to thrive and become a major source of jobs, especially for the youth, including, and they list the number of things that they would do, pursuing aggressive industrialization and value addition to agriculture. Now, anymore, you now understand why they launched Planting for Food and Jobs.
Growing for food and jobs.
For export and all of that. They launched one in Wa, Planting for Food and Jobs. They are providing fertilizer subsidies and seed subsidies. And that one, what they essentially do is to give subsidies to some farmers who produce seeds. They call them seed growers. They produce seeds, and then these seeds are then distributed or sold at subsidized prices to farmers, and they subsidize fertilizer as well. And all of this, the subsidy is between 40-50%, to some extent 60% actually. So that's what they are doing for the agricultural sector, which is one of the things that they said they were going to do that will lead to the creation of jobs. Another thing they said they would do was to provide tax and related incentives for manufacturing businesses in sectors such as agro-processing, light industries, pharmaceuticals, petrochemicals, garments, and textiles, among others. We know that some support has been given to some of these industries, like garments, for example, the pharmaceuticals as well. Of course, the pharmaceuticals actually date back to the John Mahama time, because I remember that some companies were given help by the John Mahama government in terms of pharmaceutical production. This government continues with that. The Exim Bank is supporting some of the manufacturers in Ghana so that they can expand their production and supply to other African countries pharmaceutical products that is produced in Ghana as well. Of course, if you go and talk to people, they would say how much support has been given, what's the rate of expansion, how many jobs have been created thereof. They also intended that they will provide a reliable, cost-effective mix of energy supply for businesses.
Okay.
Again, we know that power has been quite stable, but we still have some blips here and there.
Yes.
Now there is a big challenge with energy debt, because we have all manner of agreements that we have signed. We are producing a lot more than we can take. There is a lot more installed capacity than we require. We have close to 5,000 installed capacity, 5,000 megawatts of installed capacity, when our peak demand is 2,600, maximum 2,700 megawatts of power. Now, the rest that you cannot take, but you have to pay, is the reason why recently when the finance minister presented the mid-year budget review, the matter that dominated discussion was matters relating to the cost of all the energy that we are not taking, but which we have to pay for.
Right.
Yeah, there were other things that they wanted to do, providing necessary incentives for private sector participation in health service delivery, pursuing policies that will reduce interest rates. You know that interest rates traditionally have been a big matter. Recently, I was reading a publication that was attributed to the president of the Ghana Bankers Association. I'm talking about the chief executive of Stanbic Bank, Mr. Al-Hassan Andani, suggesting that Ghana's interest rates are lowest now in the country's history. Nonetheless, our interest rates are the highest within many African countries. Mm-hmm. Far too high. I'm sure the lowest you can get is about 23-24%, which is quite high compared to other countries. And we have had, you remember this forum where a Chinese lady asked how Ghanaians are able to take loans and able to transact any meaningful business and be able to pay back the loans.
Yes.
Because she was talking about, she is an equipment dealer, for example. If she takes a loan from China, she may pay 0% interest on it, maximum 2% interest. Now, when she buys equipment from China with a loan at 0% interest or maximum 2% interest, she brings those equipments to Ghana, and the Ghanaians have to take a loan sometimes at 30%, 32% interest rate to come and buy the equipment from her. What will they use the equipment to do? What business will they transact with the equipment? How much money will they raise to be able to pay the loan
and
with
then
such
profits?
Absolutely, with such huge interest. So it's a reason that they said that they will put in policies that will lead to a reduction in interest rate.
Okay.
Whether or not that has been achieved, we have to see. But interest rates remain quite high.
Yes, and Malik, so let's take a listen to the full documentary of the Dear Nana Addo in terms of joblessness, and then when we come back, we can continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
One district, one factory, and one district, one dam.
The one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and he promised to give students free food and accommodation. He also promised to reduce electricity bills. He also assured us he had bring down the duty at the ports. Initially, I used to buy 300 or 400 cedis worth of prepaid credit, but now it has changed. The amount I buy is not enough to last a long time.
Now, in that time,
Kwame JC is a proud member of the NPP in the Krowo constituency of the Greater Accra region. He brandishes a card to show his commitment to the party and touts the achievements of President Nana Akufo-Addo.
I'm a staunch NPP member. This is my card. At Nungwa here, they are constructing a park at Notika. If you go close to the sea, you can see that they are putting up an ice block company.
Ice block.
It was at this point that he became a lone ranger. Many of the people who were eavesdropping on his conversation sharply disagreed with him. Then they started heckling him. That even includes a young man who claimed he campaigned for the NPP.
I think we also have to paint our homes with NPP colors because we're also operating a company. I am a tile installer and have all equipment for installing tiles. But the problem is that there are no jobs in this area. All we hear is lip services from authorities.
Almost 2 years, 1 year can be.
Many residents of Nungwa gathered here are politically active. Kwame concedes that the president still has many promises to fulfill, especially creating jobs.
Youth, because of
The youth need jobs. They are indulging in a lot of social vices. They are becoming armed robbers, weed smokers, and alcoholics. If they had jobs, they wouldn't engage in these. Look at the issues of kidnapping. If the person is not working and is hungry, you have the thought to do evil. If I'm asked to write a letter to the president, I will tell him that, as his child, I'm pleading that he pays attention to Nungwa. I've lived here for 24 years and I've never seen any government project here. So I'm on behalf of the youth pleading that he puts up a company for us.
I really vote for him. I really vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. Yeah, I vote for him.
Samuel Adokwe lost his job last year. His company needed to cut down cost of production, so he was laid off. Securing another job has been difficult.
Yeah, I do remember he promised that he will bring one factory and one district. That's what's killing me now, because as I'm talking to you right now, I don't have work. I'm not working. I was working at PFC Pania at Fishing Harbour, and all of a sudden they just call us and announce that there is a lighting system problem that is doing so. So some of us have to go home and then we'll be called later. But up to now, they have not called us. I get 2 wives and I get 6 kids. Yeah, I'm proud of that. Yeah, but I just want to work and then take care of them.
As I stand here now, I am not going to vote in the next general election. I have my reasons. I have targeted all the people who convinced me to vote for the NPP in the last elections just because they have disappointed me. I have made up my mind that I will not vote for the NPP ever again.
2020, you go show Nana. 2020,
Coastal Development Authority by Jen.
Coastal Development Authority has visited us on a number of occasions, headed by Jerry Ahmed. What I've seen personally at Nungua is that they have built some toilet facilities. I heard that a portion of the $1 million per constituency was used to build these facilities. One is located at the shores and the other at Koliwako. Mr. President, I want you to know that a portion of $1 million per constituency has been used to build these facilities and other projects I'm yet to set my eyes on.
Some residents are, however, aware of some toilet facilities being constructed under the one constituency $1 million promise. This toilet is an example. It should bring joy to residents here. However, they are not too happy. Residents say an old toilet facility was closed down and a new one built, but for almost 4 months, the new facility has not been opened for use.
Yeah, sure. Biena anga. Nafi mabie.
Maybe a toilet.
Machem to Ngamake on Kwame fashion. I'm back below. She dag me baby coming by or come like a man again. Me piwi and shona. Me pishin we and banana jebeke I said to. Then ma be a kakon and lin ba or shona can you train say no. Can you mo fiamu.
So although money has been spent on this project, residents are yet to benefit from it.
There was
an existing toilet facility at the same place they built the new one. The old facility is bigger than the recent one. So I feel the government could have renovated the old facility rather than spending money to construct a new one. We want the new facilities commissioned for use. We struggle when nature calls at night.
Aside this concern, some residents are asking for accountability. They want to know how much government has spent from the 1 million one constituency fund.
I mean, look if you know me, just I'm be ali at deba. Allo, but I'm just a chair washing, you know, not get a fee. Now I'm feeling, Sanama be ali, David, or living to the cost squad, or living in the cost.
A people brimming with hope say that has been displaced by a cloud of doubt. Lately, despair.
Our president, Nana Akufo-Addo, yeah, you promised us that you give us job. That is one factory, one district. But up to now, we have not seen anything. And that's what is worrying me now. That's my point. Because as of now, I'm not working. Yeah, so please, you promise us and you have to fulfill it. It's not too late. If you say you want to do it, you do it for us. We are still waiting. If not, we'll change our mind.
And you've been listening to our Dear Nanado series. And this one that you've just heard really just focuses on a few people who have struggled to find work and who are holding the government accountable for the promises that they made. I'm sure that as you're listening to me, there's been a time in your life when you haven't had a job. I know that I have. And the despair and hopelessness that we feel when we're confronted with such situations and hoping that something would change. A lot of times, you know, the conversation then goes into, if you won't do what you said you would do, then we will not vote for you. And that's really just a cry of a helpless people.
If
you know they talk about.
whose only power is in their votes, and hoping that people do what they say that they will do.
Give him, so I must ride on. Come on, I think about the things I want. Go out and go get it. See the things I done. Young Lummy, follow me, icon. Come on, sing along, mama, sing my song. See everything I run from legal to illegal. I'm inside one.
My colleague Malik Abbas Dabo is here with me in the studio. Malik, so I mean, you've listened to this documentary, heard a few people speak about how they feel about being jobless and how they hold the government accountable. But as I'm listening to this, one question that's running through my mind is how much of the responsibility of creating jobs or creating an economy that is conducive for entrepreneurship or for job creation and stuff, how much of that is the government responsible for?
Well, to a very large extent, because it's the government duty to create the environment that will make it possible for businesses to thrive. So that's why the government itself or the political parties themselves, when they are going into an election, they will make the kinds of promises that some of the things I was reading to you, which they believe will lead to the creation of that kind of environment in terms of, for example, taxation, for example. What kind of tax regime do you have that encourages people, small businesses, to operate in a profitable manner? Again, in terms of even business registration, what are the processes of registering business that makes it easier and simpler for people to be able to register their businesses and to be able to run profitably?
And you saw it was in the newspaper today that there have been an increase in business registration this year because the systems are working there. So.
Absolutely, yeah. We know that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been engaged in these paperless systems in terms of even the ports. When you try to import something, what are the processes that you go through? I think there have been consistent complaints about the complicated nature of transacting business in Ghana. Anything you want to do, tax registration, business registration, payment of taxes. So
even simple things like paying your electricity bill, which I tried to do yesterday, Malik. I went to like 15 different people. There's a cashier for prepaid, a cashier for postpaid check, postpaid cash, postpaid what is it called? MTN mobile money. Then you go to one room to pay connection or disconnection fee. Then you go to another room to do this, another room to do this, another room. You're like the processes are so complicated. You should be able to go to one till and get everything done. It saves time, makes the process, brings efficiency, which I think is maybe something that the Registrar General's Department has succeeded in doing.
Absolutely,
but which is not
why
cutting across. But then again, you see, Malik, the employment issue also then comes up. Because if you're cutting down the 15 people in these 15 different rooms doing different things, then it means that they're going to be jobless. So what are we going to do?
Well, but if there's a certain level of efficiency in doing the things, the people who will come there and do their businesses, if they do it efficiently, they can create some other opportunities that will take care of those people. I think that's how businesses thrive. I think the big problem that we have, and we're talking about the interest rate, and I was citing the Chinese example, and I got a call from a listener who said, how many loans in China are classified as bad loans? That's essentially to ask the question, how many Chinese refuse to pay their loans or don't pay their loans, which is a bigger problem that we have. The banks will tell you they are unable to reduce interest rate because loan recovery in Ghana is simply too low and too poor. Too many people take loans that they never pay. They never repay to the banks. Now, when you take loans that you don't pay to the banks, that's people's money. The banks don't print money. The banks mobilize deposits from people. Now, when you take that money as a loan and you refuse to pay, and the bank therefore can't find the money to give to the deposit, the few who pay back have to pay a certain penalty for that. So if all of us were paying our loan and the non-performing loan portfolio was smaller, then it helps the system because they can give you a loan at a smaller interest, knowing that you will pay and that everybody else will pay, that they can pay back the depositors, pay them something small on top of it, and still run the operations of the bank.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's the bigger problem that we have to deal with in terms of interest rate. And now it's a chicken and egg situation. If you take a loan at a higher interest, the ability and capacity to repay the loan becomes a problem, because the burdensome interest that you have to pay itself makes it difficult for you to be able to pay. So, for example, you take the loan, you put the loan into a venture, for example, agriculture, and the risk in agric is substantially high. Now, if the interest on the loan is high and the business you are venturing into itself has a very high risk, and sometimes the rains don't come when they are supposed to come, sometimes bushfires will come and consume everything that you have produced on your farm. Sometimes
Even
animals.
like when this place in Circle was burning, when there's arson, when there's fire, and when market women come to work in the morning and their whole life savings in their store is completely burned down.
Absolutely. So those things are key factors in determining whether or not the banks can give you interest loan and whether or not the people can pay back. If the people can't pay back, then those become non-performing loans. And if the non-performing loan portfolio is high, that means the people have to give you higher interest to pay when you take a loan in order for them to be able to cater for the non-performing loans, those who did not pay, to cover that cost and still be able to give back depositors their money. So, big problem. The bigger challenge is agriculture, because, and all governments will always tell you that agriculture is low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit because the land is there.
Yes.
And the land is fertile.
And the people must eat.
And the people must eat.
Yes.
So you can't go wrong with food.
No, you can't.
The people are willing to work. So if we are able to deal with, if we continuously give these subsidies that we are providing, and I know that people in the agriculture sector, Food Sovereignty Ghana, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Third World Network, all these farmer-based organizations have been advocating for years for government to respect the Maputo Accord and invest at least 10% of the total budget into agriculture. It will help create opportunities. And I was giving an example of somebody who last year said that he has been able to roof his house because he sold sorghum. And he sold the sorghum because government had an agreement with Guinness Ghana that says that Guinness Ghana will no longer import sorghum into the country, but will source the sorghum locally. Go to the various villages in the northern parts especially and see the number of people who are cultivating sorghum this year. Because last year they got good prices for their product, for their produce, and so a lot more people are producing. Go and check how many people are cultivating rice. That is also because the subsidy is there, and you actually now have politicians who are leaving politics and going into agriculture. Which for me is exciting, because if we are able to cut down the
amount of money that we spend trying to bring in some of these basic things. Rice, palm oil is coming from, is it Malaysia or Singapore?
Right.
Like we don't even make enough palm oil here in Ghana for ourselves.
And now vegetables, we are importing vegetables from neighboring countries whose land is just as ours. Sometimes our land is actually richer than
So why can't we grow our own vegetables?
Absolutely.
But then that also then translates into roads and transportation, because sometimes you see these trucks and by the time they get to Accra, the tomatoes are rotten, the green pepper have maggots because the roads are bad. A few days ago, our very good friend Koji Angson had posted on one of our pages about a road that was total, I think it was in Wa or somewhere in the northern Accra. Yes. The farming community was totally cut off completely. And so they were producing everything that they produce, all the amazing foodstuffs, but it couldn't come because, and you saw the pictures, didn't you? Red soil, and you feel like the car would sink. And so, we're talking about the creation of jobs and other things, but we also need the infrastructure for the process to be seamless.
Let me give you an example. That particular road, the one Kojo Yansen, when he posted the pictures, I called him. When I was in Tumi Training College in 2000, a truck carrying fertilizer from Bolga to Tumu fell in that river over that bridge. All the fertilizer melted. It all dissolved. A truckload of fertilizer dissolved. 2000, I think it was actually 99. This is like 20 years ago. That bridge at Neverwe remains the same. every year the bridge floods, and if that part of the road becomes impassable, so nobody can move from upper east to upper west or upper west to upper east because of that bridge. For 20 years, we have not been able to fix it. Now, we all know that Tumu is one of the parts of the country that produces the highest quantities of maize. Quality maize from Tumu. Now, that part of the land with that kind of bridge certainly does not bode well for economic activity.
Yes.
So, whilst we are providing subsidy for seeds, for fertilizer and all of that, and encouraging people to produce more, we must do the other things that will facilitate the movement of whatever they produce to the market centers where they can get good price for their produce, which will then encourage them to go and produce more. And once they continue to produce more, a lot more people will then go into the processing of what they are producing to add value to it, so that the farmers produce, the processors go and pick it, they add value to it, and then there's a whole chain which then creates a lot more opportunities and a lot more jobs for people rather than just producing and selling.
And then just selling it. So we've reached out to the Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, well, both the Deputy Minister and the Substantive Minister. They tell us that they're unavailable to speak to us right now. We wanted to give them a chance to...
Especially because anymore, last week they put out some figures relating to jobs that have been created in the system since 2017, the number of jobs that they created, the number of people who are looking for jobs, and in fact, the number of people who have stopped looking for jobs, either because they are frustrated or for many years they have been looking for jobs, they have not been able to find jobs, and therefore they have given up. The ministry put out those figures. It would be nice to get them to come and explain
what it means.
Absolutely. We did speak to the deputy minister at the time when we were discussing the figures. It would be nice to try and get them to comment on what they have heard some citizens speak about in terms of jobs and how they align the views that have been expressed in this documentary with the figures that they put out.
But Malik, every time we talk about jobs, there's the one thing that comes to mind are the employable skills that we have as Ghanaians. And so there's so many places that I go to, that I visit, that I find that, and I'm not picking on anyone this morning, but that I find that they're foreigners who are doing these jobs. And so every time I see a foreigner, anyway, anytime I see a foreigner doing a job, the first thing that comes into mind is, was there no Ghanaian who could do this? And maybe I'm thinking in a very linear way, but I mean, obviously I'm Ghanaian, so this is my concern. And I'm not even talking about the specialized jobs, because we understand that for some of the specializations, we need certain levels of skills. But it simply just brings to mind the employable skills that we have as Ghanaians. For example, and I'm going to go back to this very, very, very flammable issue, which came up last week about our education system or the kind of graduates that we're putting out there. And that is not the focus of the conversation. But I remember that a few years ago, I was having a conversation with one of the gentlemen who owned, at that time, one of the biggest poultry farms in Ghana. And he said to me that anymore, there are people who come looking for work with a first class degree in agriculture, for example. And when I employ them, they cannot run the farm. They do not know what to do. And so as much as we talk about unemployment, we also have to tackle the issue of employable skills. If we have people who can think, we have people who can innovate, who you can leave to do the works that they need to do. I remember, and I went to a hospital, and I was speaking to one of the nurses, and I was insisting on something, on a medical condition that I knew I had, and she was very dismissive of it. And so obviously I escalated it, because this is, in the medical field, so you don't joke with things like that.
Say that this is your specialty. Confess.
So anyway, you don't joke with things like that. But then the greater worry then was that when somebody who is less educated perhaps comes to the hospital and is treated this way by the nurse, then what? Then you hear of a story where, some medicine has been given to someone who insisted they were allergic to it, and now, they're anaphylactic shock, and then the next thing you know, they're dead. And so, yes, we're putting people through school, we're getting them educated, but are we equipping them to actually do the jobs that we're saying are available? So it's like this, this balance of there are no jobs, there are jobs, there are people who have the skills, there are people who don't have the skills, there are people who have degrees, but they don't know how to do the jobs. There are foreign companies that are coming in who sometimes can't find local people who can fill in the job roles that they have available. So what do we do about that?
I think that's the bigger challenge facing, and I think all the political parties agree on this. So every single one of them have always added to their manifesto the issue about skills training. I remember in quite recently, actually, we heard the presidential candidate of the NDC talking about skills training. Under his government, there were efforts to do skills training. Under President Mills, there were efforts to do skills training. Under this government, there are efforts to do skills training. In fact, the Youth Leadership Training Institutes were built as a way of encouraging skills training, encouraging people to acquire these kinds of skills. The polytechnics, that's what they were set up to do, skills training. Having said that anymore, this country has a big challenge of skills of our people. And every employer will tell you this. You were making reference to Senior Hosse's explosive comments that have dominated the discussions. The Employers Association of Ghana president commented on the matter, and he spoke about employable skills.
Okay,
so
Mali,
there are people who are willing to work, whether or not they have the requisite skills to perform.
Is the problem. Tell me more about that in 2 seconds. I just want to open the phone line 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. So I'm asking you these questions, or we want to have this employment conversation with you this morning. What is your assessment of the government's job creation so far in line with what they have promised? What, in your view, is the major hurdle or the challenge that this government is facing regarding the area of job creation? And how can we create jobs as a country? We need your opinion. We need you to call us and tell us exactly what you're thinking about. It's 0302-216-541. I'm going to take a few messages. When I come back, I'll let Malik finish what he was talking about, and then we will listen to your opinion on the job creation issue.
In a world where everything is changing around you, sometimes you need to turn to someone you can trust. You want to move with a change in safe hands, and we are here to help. At Societe Generale Ghana, we understand change because we have transformed and evolved. No matter how our name may change, 43 years of retail and corporate banking expertise never changes, ensuring stability and trust. Digital innovation as the world moves forward to help you adapt, upgrade, and keep up. Bank with Societe Generale Ghana and enjoy doing your banking your way, whenever you choose, in our digital zones with cutting-edge digital banking products and quality services. You deserve a better bank and great rewards. We agree, the world only moves because you make it move. SG Ghana, the future is you.
Okay, our last caller for Chirewajin on Radio Ghana by 56.7 FM is on the line. Hello, you have 30 seconds. Chirewajin.
Hi, Mr. Presenter. Yes, I don't understand how I take out my own money to buy credit. My own money, oh. Then when I buy it, the people say I have to use it by a certain time. Otherwise, they will take it away. I mean, how? If I buy it, then I should be able to keep it as long as I want. Abrabona, you trying to say at the end, it's only expiry. It's not all of us who can call.
All right, thank you. Expiry is a very serious issue. Now, let's take a message from our sponsors.
Tired of expiry on your calls? Switch to Airtel Tigo. Get Fuse, the only call and data bundle with no expiry. So time no be problem. Call all networks and browse with Airtel Tigo Fuse. Dial *567# to bundle.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
King of my heart, my one and only. You've been working hard, though. Shouldn't we travel with the kids to relax? Lodge in a 5-star hotel, go on a boat cruise. Don't worry. With Visa, we can get amazing discounts on summer treats, tickets, and tours in UK, Dubai, and USA. Where's that flyer, Seth? See, we could also win home appliances when we spend at least $500 or its equivalent in any currency abroad.
Offer open to all Visa card holders till the 13th of September 2019. Visit africa.visa.com for more offers. Ask your bank for an instant Visa card today. Terms and conditions apply. Visa, everywhere you want to be.
So with this promo, we can win some home appliances and I can finally have my peace.
I could give you about 15,000 reasons why we love Samsung, but that would make this ad over 50 times as long. How about this? Getting a 32-inch Samsung LED TV for just 899 Ghana cedis. 40 inches at 1,499 Ghana cedis. 55-inch Ultra HD TV at 3,999 Ghana cedis plus a free sound system and so much more goodies in the Samsung at 50 promo. Yes, it's a gargantuan celebration. The Samsung fridges start from 1,999 Ghana cedis and washing machines from as low as 799 Ghana cedis. This is just the icing on the cake. The celebration continues, so get ready to be blown away. Visit any Samsung store or authorized reseller for your own Samsung while stocks last. It's the big Samsung at 50 promotion. T's and C's apply.
So clean an LPG tank, fill the tank with water. This forces out the remaining gas in the tank. Then release the water. The cleaner should wear appropriate protective clothing such as gas masks, goggles, boots, and gloves. LPG tanker vehicles should have appropriate warning inscriptions such as written warning signs, reflectors, and flashing lights. Storage tanks should be inspected regularly for rust and damages. Service providers should be called in when a defect is detected. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
From importers to exporters, direct to indirect workers, you and I, the MPS Terminal 3 is great news to us all.
As a trader, doing business at the port has become easy. The machines are very modern and clearing goods has become very fast.
As a port worker, it is a great joy to be part of over 1,000 Ghanaians working here. This new facility means a lot to us.
As a cocoa farmer, I have more markets to export my products. The entire world can now taste my cocoa, bringing me and my family more income.
The MPS Terminal 3 is a game changer. MPS has invested in world-class equipment and technology to optimize the efficiency of doing business at Tema Port. This means more jobs, development, and opportunities for our present and our future in Ghana. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
A great journey lies ahead of us all, but we all have different paths carved out for us. When choosing your path, make sure you choose a partner you can trust, a partner with integrity who will always stand with you and give you the support you need when you need it. No matter who you are and where you are in your journey in life, you are very significant and so is the path you're on. Consolidated Bank Ghana cherishes financial security as much as you do and shares the same values as you, and that is why we are the right financial partner to stand with you. We are now one of the largest banks in Ghana, and we are ready to partner and work with you. CBG, we stand with you.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Turn up the crowd. Let them know. Let's work. Thank you, Dad.
Charlie, if you know they talk about dough, I want bone, don't call my bluff phone.
And it's the Super Morning Show here on Joy 99.7 FM. And this morning, we really want to have this employment conversation with you. So I'm asking you a few questions. You know, what's on your mind concerning employment and job creation here in Ghana? What is your assessment when it comes to government job creation so far, as opposed to what they promised that they would do? And in your view, what is the major hurdle or the challenge that you think we're facing in job creation, and how do we as a country create jobs for our people, to grow our economy, to minimize crime, to take the burden off the somewhat shaky social welfare system that we have? Let's have that conversation this morning, shall we? Call me at 0302-216-541. Are you looking for a dependable internet service to meet and suit your needs? Well, Telecel offers the fastest internet experience in 4G in the country, with coverage in Accra, Temaho, Koforidua, Takrade, and Bolgatanga. For the youth, Telecel has Telecel Wave bundles designed to cater for youth lifestyle, starting from as low as 2 cedis 50 pesos. Telecel has 4G internet service to meet business, homes, and on-the-go needs. This is 4G data not only on your phone and handheld devices, but also extended for use in offices and homes. Can you believe that? Well, Telecel 4G is for everyone. And now Telecel Fiber broadband services for homes and office at affordable rates with varied speeds, unlimited and bundled data options. If you live in any of these areas, Airport Residential Area, Laboni Ridge, Cantonments, Jowulu, and other locations, call Telecel to find out about your area and service availability on 0303-975-342 or 344. Or you can send us an email on inquiry at telecel4g.com. Telecel, just a touch. And I'm going straight to the phone lines. I have Ejari calling from the University of Ghana. Good morning, Ejari.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you. So, how do you think the government has done opposed to what they promised?
Thank you. I think this is a very important question that everybody wants to digest in terms of what the government promised prior to the 2016 election. What I think is that, candidly, the government has not really performed, so splendid in terms of job creation. If I want to be very candid in my opinion, in as much as I am an MPP person, I know that that has not been done to perfection. But you see, for me, normally, I want us to analyze the issues shrewdly in the sense,
Ejari, I need you to reposition yourself because the line is very bad.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's much better. Go ahead.
Okay, am I sounding clear now?
Yes, it's much better. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, for me, I don't envisage any government in Ghana that will be able to meet our job expectations in all. Because I want to use my old school as University of Ghana as an example. That if you take the University of Ghana, every year the university produces not less than 20,000, graduates. Because if you look at the distance program, the sandwich, and the regular students in all, definitely the university will come out with about 20,000 students. Then you go to UCC, the other public universities, then the private universities as well. And all these graduates, which I am part of it, anyway, if we are being very frank and sincere to ourselves, like telling a fresh graduate to go, into the agriculture field, that you have to go and probably deal with cocoa cultivation or maybe vegetable cultivation. A Ghanaian will tell you, no, I'm not interested, because he or she thinks that you want to get to the office, like maybe working at the GMPC, Hatama Harbour, and those places. And those places are places that we already have people occupying. So lecturers, or like I have a lecturer who normally says that now we deal with who knows you, not whom you know. Right. The one who is there, if the person knows you, then the person can help you get in there. But how many people can get in there through who knows you or something like that? So if every year Ghana produces maybe 200,000 graduates, about 10,000 probably will get that opportunity. Even that one, I doubt. So anyway, this is my suggestion. For me, this is my suggestion that government should reduce the pension age from 60 years to 55 years. So that at least when you work for about 25 years, government will get you something. You also use that money to create some employment for other people to also come in. So that at least we can help people who are graduating first from the various universities to get in there. Else, always we will continue to have this conversation till the kingdom come. Okay. I bet you, because if every year about 20,000 people are graduating and they are not getting jobs, then for me, I think that every year, if about 10,000 people or 100,000 people are also going on pension at the age of 55 years and government gets something, at least 50,000 of them will use that amount of money to create some job for people who are coming in fresh to do it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that, Ejare, calling from University of Ghana. Theophilus. Theophilus, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Theophilus. So, in your view, how do you think that we can create jobs as a country?
I think the job creation thing is a holistic thing that should be looked at. I think your guest or your partner has said a lot about such things, but I think there are still some few to look at, especially the interest rate. The countries that are developed, I don't see any of them developing without a proper plan in place. These days, we have issues. I'm in the construction industry, where you see these Chinese contractors take a loan with interest rates as low as 5% from their country. It doesn't mean there are no bad notes there, but they take it at that rate, and they come, and we are competing with them. How do we compete? And so we are stifling all our local industries with these people who come with low interest rate. I was looking at the banking sector, for example. The foreign banks, when they take loan from outside, the interest rates are so small. And so they can bring that money, come and give it to Ghanaians at around 30%, making so huge profits on it. And they will be able to survive. And then our local banks will be taking money from the local people. And the local people are demanding so high interest rate. And for that matter, the small businesses cannot go and take those loans. So I think that if we really want to create an environment, then the government should really intervene into those things and then create an environment where the local industries can work with lower interest rate and make good profit. Then they can expand and employ more people. I think that is what we are lacking. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much for that. I have Richard calling from Jolu. Richard, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So what do you think is the hurdle that we're facing in terms of job creation?
With me, I think that, like the first caller spoke, this government in particular, there are certain things that he should have taken on. Looking at the unemployment rate in this country, is very high. So I'm suggesting that in terms of collapsing other private sectors, they should rather find a way to resolve it so that other people can get work and look after their relatives. Because when, like right now, the government have collapsed those 23 private sectors, where are they going to get jobs to feed their family? You understand? So the government should help raise those banks and then talk to them and let them do the right thing. And then also, in terms of the agriculture sector, they should also encourage more people to go into agriculture. And then those who can establish themselves, the government should also create avenue for them so that the unemployment rate will reduce. Because if all the time government, myself, last year they said there's youth employment or whatever they call it at the ministries. All the way from voter, I came and applied. I bought the form, applied. Till today, they will call. You understand? So if I were to depend on that, I'll just be in the household. They will call. I hope you get my point. So
yes,
the
I get your
government
point.
should create other avenues. Should also help those that are trying to help people get employment so that they can also feed their families. I think if the government takes that upon himself, if all these things will go down.
Okay.
And look at what happened yesterday. Armed robbery, attack, kill somebody instantly. What is the meaning of this?
Indeed, what is the meaning of this? Thank you very much for that. I have Joseph calling from Community 9 in Tema. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Madam. I hope you're doing well.
I'm very well, thank you. So what is, in your view, the major hurdle or the challenge that we're facing when it comes to government creating jobs? Joseph, please reposition yourself, and the line is very bad.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
One thing that I've observed is that a lot of people want to go and sit at the office with tie and coat for us to see that they are working. That's our problem. And as the other caller from the University of Ghana said, I mean, recently a certain guy went to a certain minister for job and he said, I want Harbor. So, as for port, it's choked. But I'm glad you are mentioning agriculture this morning. Agriculture is the backbone of our economy. Why can't we dwell much on agriculture so that about more than 50% of what we consume, we can produce it ourselves? Because see, look at rice. If you look at the amount of rice being transported from outside the country, I mean, it's too much. And these certain rice are killing us. Why can't we do irrigation farming so we can plant rice to feed ourselves? When you talk about fruits, pineapple and other fruits can be produced here for fruit juices to be consumed. So it's a matter of the roads being good, as your partner is saying. And I believe this railway issue, when they're able to complete the railway issue, it will release the burden on the road and they can transport, foodstuffs from other places so that we can consume and it can, boost our economy. So to me, the agriculture should be taken seriously. And people should be trained to work at the agriculture side so that we can produce what we consume. That's my take on that.
Thank you very much for that, Joseph. I have Papa Ansah from Teshinungwa. Papa, good morning.
Good morning, Anua. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you too?
Oh, by His grace, I'm doing well.
Okay, so you remember what the government promised in terms of job creation. How do you think they've done as opposed to, what they've actually done?
Me, from my point of view, this current government hasn't done nothing because looking at the NACOP, the youth in afforestation and co, they've created those jobs, but they are owing these people. Some have even stopped going to work. And the trees, when you go to Klagon, Tema Road, you see the trees are no more there. My point is that if the government has balls to ban this agricultural input, like the poultry, like the rice, ban them and let's grow our local product. So that you will get work to do. Even call it the factories. Rather, you've brought a benchmark, 30%, 50%. People are bringing in finished products. Meanwhile, factories are crying for raw materials to import them. They are expensive. Why don't you reduce the duty of raw materials? Rather increase the finished product so that people will get work to do. Now, Nungwa, I cannot even pass Nungwa because I campaigned for MPP, for the youth to vote for MPP. Now, when they see me, Papa Ansah, they said work will come. Am I the government to give you work? Because I know my government will, give us the work. But we are not seeing nothing. So me, I'm saying that the government should look at the factories and agric, reduce the duty of the raw materials, and increase the finished product, those who import, so that people will get work to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Papa answer. My last caller, Elizabeth, calling from Legon. Elizabeth, good morning.
Good morning, Anymore. My name is Elizabeth, and greetings to your listeners.
Thank you very much
I want
for
to
that.
contribute to the discussion. This is a very important discussion this morning. And I think two issues I wanted to raise. Someone has touched on the first one, which is the interest rates that the banks are charging. I believe that there are many of the youth who might want to go into this agro-processing that many are talking about. But when you want to get a startup capital, it is so difficult. And so I believe that the gentleman touched on the interest rates. If something can be done about it. The next one I wanted to touch on is I was into the agro-processing, and at some point I wanted to expand, and therefore I went to the Food and Drugs Authority, and then also the Standard Board, because some tests, I think they have to also come in. And when I went there, in fact, the bill that was given to me to pay, and it is something that I didn't want to borrow to do. I started it small, and I wanted to expand, and I wanted to ensure that at least you have all these certificates to authenticate whatever you are doing or to back you. But because it was so high, at some point I had to back up. And so how many of our youth, I don't know now how it is, that it is still very expensive. But I think if the Food and Drugs Authority, governments will be able to help so that the youth who are coming up and have an interest in agro-processing will be able to at least have their products go through the tests that they are supposed to conduct, even without a fee or with a very subsidized fee. I believe that many of our youth will be prepared to go into it, because we always say that agriculture is the backbone of the economy. And many of the fruits that are produced in the hinder, I think most of them even get rotten just because we are not processing them. But if somebody wants to venture in, you go through so much that you think that, no, then I don't have that money, I don't have that kind of resources to be able to facilitate that. And so, one, the interest rate, two, the rules which somebody has talked about, and then the third one is the standards, the Food and Drugs Authority. Government should subsidize so that those young ones who are into agro-processing will be able to at least have their products go through the test and properly branded for the market. I believe that will be making a headway. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very, very much for those very solid points, Elizabeth. And wrapping up our conversation on that particular issue, the job creation issues. We're wrapping it up for today, but it's not completely something that we will not continue to talk about. Mind you, though, a few months ago, well, actually not a few months ago, a few weeks ago, I think it was August 15th, the Deputy Minister for... just 1 second. Okay. So the government said, the Minister of Employment, not the Deputy Minister, sorry, the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafwewa, he said on Thursday, August 15th, at a press conference, that 343,458 new jobs had been created by ministries, departments, and agencies during the period under review, which was from 2017 to 2018. In addition to that, he also said that the ever-famous Planting for Food and Jobs program created from 2017 to 2018 also added 267,939. And so a total of 397 new jobs created between 2017 and 2018. 18. So we have that for what the government has said concerning this. Well, they actually said this before we started this conversation. But today's agenda is brought to you by Societe Generale, SG Ghana. The future is for you. And it's back to school time. There's good news for parents, guardians, and students. For new entrants to SHS, you can get all your school admission needs without having to walk from one market to another. Prospectus Ghana Limited offers you a one-stop shop for all the items on your child's prospectus. What's amazing? The things are highly affordable. Credit is available for everyone, workers from both the formal and informal sectors. And for busy parents, you can order at the comfort of your home, and service delivery is available. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? We have everything SHS admission needs, and you can locate Prospectus Ghana on the Graphic Road opposite Toyota Ghana and adjacent to Honda. You can also visit the website. It's www.prospectusghana.com or call Prospectus Ghana on 0302 955 050 or 0302 955 030. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Prospectus Ghana. Ghana now has the first one-stop shop to get all your school items. If it's about school admission, then Prospectus Ghana is the place to shop. Are you looking to acquire a home in a well-planned and secured community with access to an ultra-modern sports complex, Olympic-sized swimming pool, football, basketball, athletics, and gym facilities? Well, Eden Heights has it all. Eden Heights has a 1 to 4 bedroom apartment and penthouses with the highest grade of finishing. Locate Eden Heights at West Hills, close to the beach resorts along the Atlantic Ocean, about 30 minutes drive from the airport and 5 minutes walk from the West Hills Mall. Eden Heights is the new destination for luxury. Visit us at edenheights.com.gh or email to sales@edenheights.com.gh. You can also call Mavis on 050-153-1444 or 050-153-1445 for more information. Eden Heights, welcome home. And we're taking the Joy Business Minute. We'll be right back.
Good morning and welcome, everyone.
It's the Joy Business Minute with